Hello, everyone, and welcome to the High Return Real Estate Show. Today, we got a very special guest. We're excited to hear from her. She's our head of Investor Relations at High Return Real Estate. So oftentimes, our investors will book calls with us to just learn more about the Indianapolis market and what we do and all the ins and outs. So we actually get to hear from her directly. So stay tuned. Got a fantastic show.
Welcome to the High Return Real Estate Show, the podcast for heavy hitters. Two men, one mission. It's time to build your empire.
Okay, so with us is Head of Investor Relations at High Return Real Estate, Nicole Hoss. Nicole has been with our company for, I don't know, Nicole, a couple of years now?
Well, it's 2 years this summer.
2 years this summer. All right, so guys, you really, we want you to hear and kind of meet Nicole. And then the really overall topic of the show today is kind of the most common objections, or I wouldn't say objections, maybe just questions that people have about not only the Indianapolis market, but how does high return real estate, do certain things, and why do we do certain things a certain way? So we're going to definitely kind of enlighten you guys of some of our processes and the most common things that we will hear from investors. So here we go. So Nicole, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started into real estate. Take it away.
So my husband and I got started in real estate about 3 years ago. So I kind of told my story on one of the earlier high return real estate podcasts. So I think it's number 8. But to
58 or 60 now, so it's been a while.
It has been a while. I remember because my husband actually was like, hey, if you need somebody who invests out of state, my wife could talk to you. And I was like, oh no, please don't do that.
Yeah, that was back before you actually joined our team as the head of investor relations, right?
It was. So it was over 2 years ago. But we started looking at real estate investing because my husband works for a large company and they are constantly reorganizing. If you're in the wrong position at the wrong time, then you get fired. And it was something that he did not want to put, as the main breadwinner of our family, he did not want to put our family at risk of having zero income. So we started looking at investing. And at the time we were living in Illinois. And so we of course started looking in our backyard because that's where most, when you think real estate investing, you think you need to be right there on top of it. So we started looking around and we're like, this is ridiculous. How are we going to afford to do this? So then we started looking on the different type of websites that kind of started pointing towards out-of-state investing. And we went, oh, well, we might be able to do this. And then we were like, okay, well, where should we go? And we decided to pinpoint Indianapolis as a great place to invest because it was actually only 2.5 hours from us. And my husband is a very hands-on person, which means I became a very hands-on person. So I would go over to Indy and meet with people, et cetera, and then come home. So I never had to spend the night or anything because it was pretty close. But yes, we decided to start investing in Indianapolis, and we have not looked back. And in fact, we even live in Des Moines now because his job moved us again. Yep. But we still continue to invest in Indianapolis. Once you have your team there that you trust, then there's no reason for us to start looking somewhere else. And besides, Iowa was just as bad as Illinois. It was not going to be something that we could buy and hold here like we can in Indianapolis.
Sure. So the saying of live where you want to live, but invest where it makes sense. That's certainly what you guys have subscribed to.
Oh, absolutely.
What's your portfolio look like right now? I mean, I know you're obviously still building.
Yeah. So right now we have 5 properties. I think there's 11 or 12 doors. I can't remember off the top of my head. But we have primarily single families. So single families, and then we introduced a duplex for the higher returns, higher risk, higher returns. And then I also have a quad. So I can speak to singles, duplexes, and quads when I get to talk to investors and give them my experience of those properties.
So one of the questions, right, we talked about that you get a lot is, why don't we fix up and manage larger than a duplex? So
Yay.
why don't you talk about that with your quad experience?
Oh my goodness, because that quad, it looks great on paper. And I think that's what a lot of investors get hung up on. A lot of the people that I talk to, they walk into the conversation going, I want multifamily. That's all I want. I don't want single families. But I can tell you, so with my quad, it's a lower paying tenant.
Mm-hmm.
And so the turnover is very high. Also, they might be able to pay for the down payment or the deposit and be able to pay a couple months rent. And then sometimes it just stops. So I've had multiple evictions in that property. I mean, you can vet these tenants as much as possible. And I know we do that as a turnkey company. We vet the tenants, but there's only so much you can do before a tenant, reneges on something.
Yeah.
So fortunately, the eviction process in Indianapolis is pretty simple.
Sure.
So, but yes, it has been in the couple years that I've owned that property, it's just been a revolving door of tenants. And I think I'm done with it. So,
Yeah.
So the plan is to offload the quad and pick up more single families, because that's the bread and butter of Indy. You're going to get better tenants, a better property, less turnover. My singles, I love them. Even my duplex, actually. I didn't start with a duplex, but I certainly introduced it into my portfolio, and it was a good decision. So a duplex can be very good as long as you have, or our investors have, a good base of a couple single families first.
Yeah. I think of it like baseball, right? Your singles are really like hitting a single. The duplex is hitting a double.
Right.
And the quads, you're going for a home run, because you get a home run on paper. But a lot of times when you go for a home run, you swing for the fences, you strike out.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with just consistently getting single hits in baseball. And it's the same thing in real estate investing. You want to have a good, stable foundation to build upon. And if you've got the good foundation and you want to take a bigger swing, then you can try one, but don't say we didn't warn you, because in C class, at least, a quad in Indy is extremely volatile, difficult to manage. I mean, I was all over when I came to town first about 4 years ago. I was trying to buy them up, and I sold them all. That tells you anything, that they are very, very difficult on your emotional stability, even.
Yes. Yeah, I remember a conversation with Jack early on, because actually I've known Jack since before high return real estate. But I remember a conversation early on about investing is not for the faint of heart, is it? He was like, oh, no.
It really isn't, and look, I mean, it does take a certain person's type of demeanor and mindset to be a successful real estate investor. You've got to be able to hang in there when it's not going good and figure out what do we need to do? What's the plan? How do we turn this around? Do we liquidate? Do we move it into something else? But I can say overall, if for newbie investors, if they would just not try to swing for the fences and get these extraordinary returns, if they would just be okay with getting a solid 8, 9, 10, 12% return in that range, they're going to be good. And then, those are good, fantastic returns.
They are.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the other common things that we hear. So defining C versus B, how do we do that?
So the way I look at it, and this is all my properties are C class. I love the C class property. I can get the returns that I cannot get in the B class area. So a C-class neighborhood, we like to see gentrification in the area. We like to be part of that gentrification of the neighborhood. There is a few owner-occupied homes in the area, which is nice. I always like to, so I go over to Indy quite a bit. I mean, especially now that I'm with high return real estate.
Yep.
But I always like to drive through the neighborhoods that I'm selling properties in. And I like to see that there's progress. You know, I want to see that there's construction going on. I want to see that there is those homes that clearly are owner occupied. And yes, you really can tell the difference. You know, they have the manicured lawn, they have flowers out front. That's typically things you're not going to see with rental properties. So if I can see a couple of those on the block, then I know it's probably a very good C-class neighborhood.
Sure.
So that's what we're looking for.
Sure.
Now, what would you say is a B class?
Well, I think, you know, yeah, B class, you're typically going to see more attached garages to the house.
Yeah.
You're going to see probably a little bit more brick out front, you know, in the front of the houses. You're going to see probably around, it's just a ballpark, but 50% owner occupied on a given neighborhood versus, you know, predominantly in C, it is very highly percentage wise rentals. You're going to see higher rents too. You know, typically in a B, you're going to see north of 800, whereas in a lot of C class, you know, our typical rent on a 2-1 is 650, and on a 3-1 it's 700, 750. So you start hitting in a B, you know, a 2-1 can get over 800 to 850, you know. So not typical in a B that we see, at least the way the B neighborhoods that we're working in, we don't see a lot of north of $1,000 rents. Probably start hitting B plus type neighborhoods when you start seeing that. And, you know, all of our tenants, they have to have 3 times income. So, you know, you got to think, well, if they're hitting north of 1,000 in rents, and they're, you know, and this is the rule for most property management companies, is 3 times income. So now they're making, you know, at least 3,000 to 4,000 a month in that, you know, for the yearly income. Typically, you're going to start seeing, more upper level Bs. So I think, you know, Ds, if we want to hit on that, that's more, you know, lots of boarded up houses, you know, lots of, you know, dilapidated, broken windows, every other kind of house type thing.
Yeah. So, and I guess for me, like, I want to be able to feel comfortable driving down the street of the properties that we are selling. Yeah. And I'm not a big person. I'm not, you
are petite.
I don't have muscle behind me should something happen.
Right.
So, and I drive a minivan because I'm also a full-time mom. So the
minivan kind of gives it away too.
Yeah. So if I'm driving down the street with my minivan, I need to feel comfortable in that area. And so, and I can confidently say that when I do go to Indy and I cruise by the properties that I'm selling or that we're selling and rehabbing, et cetera, I feel very comfortable in the areas. I get out of the vehicle, I will walk up to the door of the property, I will walk around the property, and that's by myself. And that's the difference between a C class and a D class, because I have been driven. I haven't actually been doing the driving, but I remember this one time when I was first looking at investment properties in Indy. I was being given a tour of a neighborhood, and it, like, we drove down the street and I literally sunk down in the truck in the passenger seat because I was like, I am scared out of my gourd here. So I just slipped down in my chair, and the driver was a male, but so he was like, oh, you're fine. I'm like, I'm really not. So anyway, that's the difference that I can tell between a C and a D class neighborhood is my safety.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's good. Yeah. I know Kevin, our head of acquisitions and rehab, he doesn't even carry a gun. That tells you anything.
Oh, wow.
So he, obviously, you know, he's been working Indy market for 20 years. The neighborhoods that he goes into and that we fix up and manage, you know, he obviously feels pretty safe. So
right.
kind of gives anybody any indication. So when you go into a D-class area, there's typically a lot more drugs, crime. So you definitely probably want to be packing when you go there.
Yeah.
We just find those hard to manage, so we stay away.
Right. Because the tenant that you're getting in there is
pretty rough.
Yeah.
Okay, so then another question. Outside U.S. investors, outside those that reside or are citizens of another country.
Yeah, I get to speak with them. Yeah, I get to speak with them quite a bit. It's a lot of fun. And yes, we absolutely work with them. We have investors that are in other countries, Dubai, Europe, Canada, Japan. And so I get to talk to people across the world, really, which is a lot of fun. And to make it easier to talk to out of state or out of country investors, there's this app called WhatsApp, and I downloaded that, and it's sweet. You don't even have to pay international phone calls, phone charges. So investors call me or they'll text me on the WhatsApp app. And so, yeah, it's very simple. The process is very similar. The only difference is that I just have to clear to make sure that they are clear to purchase using their bank or using whatever funds they have to be able to wire the funds to the escrow title company that we use in Indianapolis. So, but honestly, everybody that I've spoken to, they're like, oh yeah, I can do that. That's easy. And they have. So absolutely. I have a number of people that I get to talk to that are out of the country.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. We welcome foreign investors for sure.
Absolutely. Okay.
So then another question you get, why do we not allow upfront financing?
Yes, I get this one an awful lot.
You get it a lot. So, I know you do. I know. It's tough to say no because people, they want to buy it this way. We understand.
I know, we do understand. And especially when they're like, well, how am I going to come up with the funds? Or I really think that I should leverage this. And yeah, I get it. You just have to find other ways to leverage it before you get to us. Yep. So the reason we don't, and Jack, you'll have to help me out on this a little bit too, but one of the main reasons is the holding time, the extra time that it takes to close a property. If you're financing a property, I mean, you're looking at 30 to 45 days. I just moved, like I said, a couple years ago, and I mean, it took 45 days to close on this house. Mm-hmm. We have a 2-day close with the purchases that we make and the properties that we sell. So 2 days. That's less hold time for us. That's less money out of our pocket. The holding time. And we don't want to pass those amounts on to our investors, and because we would have to raise the property, raise the price of the property, and that's why you're going to see the returns on our properties versus the companies that allow financing.
Sure,
it's because we don't have to hold them near as long.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, we don't have a infinite amount of inventory. To put everything through our processes, which is a 7-step process, and then a 41-point rehab checklist. It takes some time. I mean, it's pretty tough to get the quality and then to get the tenant placed and all the things that we provide and the transparency we provide, right? So if we hold a property tie it up, so to speak, and we could have sold that to another cash investor, within a week, which we typically do, not always, but a lot of times we do, then that puts a real challenge for us because we need those funds back to go out and find the next deal to get the next property through the processes and ready. Look, we have to buy things in cash to get the pricing that we do to be able to make the margins we need to operate this company. So our cash flow can't be held up and tied up that long. That's the main reason. It is a little bit more challenging. We certainly can do it. There's a bank that we recommend people do a cash out refinance. They could definitely do an upfront finance as well. So it's but it is more challenging to get financing for properties that are under, the 75K mark. So that's another reason as well. And then I think the third reason is just peace of mind, like for us, our team, because banks put you through the ringer.
Oh my God.
They ask for
Yes.
so much stuff from us.
Yeah.
It's like, gosh, we don't want to, we don't want to deal with that. We have enough challenges getting a property across the finish line and getting a, performing property.
Right.
It's enough headache. But on top of that, we put another 30 to 60 days of a bank dictating to us all these terms and what they need to close it. It is now we're going to be very moody on our team.
Right. Yes.
We're already moody enough sometimes. Some
Right.
days.
Well, and speaking of moody, so I can even think of a fourth reason. So,
Yeah.
like Jack said, there's a tenant in place when we get these properties across the finish line, and our investors are able to buy them. So, and it's typically a brand new tenant. And so you kind of have to put yourself in the tenant's shoes. Is, if we allow the financing, so we have a bank coming in, disrupting our brand new tenant in their brand new property. And then, they come in, they do the appraisal, and then what if the investor then decides to back out? Well, then we have to turn it around and do it with somebody else.
Yeah.
So then we have another appraiser coming in. I mean, because investors can still back out if the bank says, okay, well, I need all these other things done. Well, then maybe we have a crew going in there as well, displacing the tenant, and it's items that didn't necessarily need to be done, but because of the appraisal, maybe they saw something incorrectly and made some sort of assumption, then we're going in there and bothering them again. I prefer selling properties with happy tenants, and I don't want to irritate these tenants right off the bat by displacing them too much.
Oh yeah, you definitely don't want to place a tenant and then disrupt them for the next 60 days.
Yeah,
that's not good. It's not going to keep your tenants happy and, like you said, stable. So yeah, no, that's a great point, Nicole. I wasn't even thinking of that one. So
and that's what I do on my side.
Right. Okay, so let's pause for a second. We are going to have Nicole's home run of the week here. So hold on one second.
Hi, this is Nicole, your Director of Investor Relations at High Return Real Estate. This single family home on Eugene Street is the perfect property to add to your portfolio. We acquired it for a fantastic price, and the rehab went off without a hitch. After all expenses, the cash-on-cash ROI of this one is nearly 12%. And remember, like all of the properties you buy from us, you'll be able to see the full scope of repairs, the third-party inspection reports, and you'll get our unbeatable roof-to-foundation warranty. This one is truly a home run. Just send me an email at homerun@highreturnrealestate.com. That's homerun@highreturnrealestate.com, and I'll be happy to send you the full investor folder. Talk to you soon.
Okay. All right, Nicole, great job on that. So let's go on to, should I use an LLC?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. Okay.
And am I at risk if I don't have one?
Right. So it kind of depends on who you ask. If you ask my husband, then yes, you need an LLC. We need to protect ourselves. He's way more conservative, and I'm like, oh wow, it's fine.
Right?
That's kind of my motto. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
I know, it's kind of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our properties are typically purchased in LLCs, but we've also purchased in our names as well. And the reason that you purchase in your name is because all cash out refi banks will, if it's a regular, loan,
30-year conventional type thing.
30-year conventional, that's right. Non-commercial, it has to be in your name.
Yep.
So that's why I will recommend, so I'll have investors that are like, I will be doing a cash out refi. Well, then you want to purchase it in your name. Then you get your cash out refi done in your name, but then you can quit claim deed the property into an LLC if you want to have that added protection. Just know that there are risks involved with that as well, because a bank can call the note due if they find out that it's no longer in your name.
Yep.
But I also know that if the bank is getting paid every month on time, they're not going to care. They have other things to worry about. Yeah, you're really pretty protected.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's very rare where the bank's going to call the note due because you're in an LLC. They may tell you, hey, they probably might, I don't know this for sure, so I'm conjecturing, disclaimer. I would think the bank's going to just say, hey, you got this in an LLC, put it back in your name, or we're going to call it due. You know,
yeah.
So most of them are going to be working with you on that, but I haven't ever heard of that happening.
Yeah, I haven't either. So what is the exposure? I suppose with Google, you could easily get your name as the owner of the property versus the LLC. And if there is the chance that a tenant or otherwise decides that they want to go after the owner of the property, it kind of opens up the liability of your own personal residence as a target, financially, not physically, because 95% of our investors are out of state and the tenant is not going to do that. But I haven't seen that happen either, to be honest, ever. But the exposure is there.
Yep. No, it's good. Very good. We do actually have a brand new partnership with a company too, as well. Like if anyone is interested in setting up an LLC, they just want a quick, easy solution, or any type of entity, for that matter. We're actually just inking a partnership here this week to where we can refer to them, and they have an awesome system. So there'll be more on that coming out to our investor base. Okay, so then we've covered a lot of ground here, Nicole. What sets high return real estate apart from other turnkey operations?
Okay, so well, Jack and I are awesome. I mean,
we don't know about that Shecky guy.
I know. I mean, he's okay too, I guess, because he does give investor tours and he's pretty friendly. But really,
hope he never listens to this. He probably
will. We won't tell him about this one.
Right.
I like that our team is so integrated with each other. We're relatively new still. I mean, we've been around for 2.5 years. The company has. There's a number of us that work here, but we're all very close. And I say that, and I can say that, even though I'm in Des Moines, I still feel very connected and close with everybody, even though I'm not physically there. It's a very tight-knit group. We're very open and honest with each other. We speak the truth too. And that's what's really nice and refreshing about getting to talk to an investor on the phone is, like, I get to have my personality shine through. Like, they don't get to just listen to or go on the website and, read about us. Like, you get to talk to an actual person. And I like that we are at a size that we can do that. I don't know of many other turnkey companies in Indianapolis that do the rehab level that we do, the volume that we do, and have the customer service that we do with the number of people that we have.
Yeah, it's good. I think, one other thing we talked about is there's not a lot of companies that are actually getting 2 third-party inspections before and after the rehab process. And then even if anything still comes up on the inspection report, send the contractor back, verify it on a form, take pictures, and then, then place a tenant and sell a performing asset. There's a lot that goes into that. A lot of turnkeys sell products much before that whole process is even done. So we provide so much transparency to our investors, and then, you know, high returns. I mean, it's difficult in real estate today to get a consistent 10% net return on investment, especially for a passive investor. You know, for an active investor, those that are going out and doing all the things that we do, you know, they certainly have a pretty decent shot of that in some markets, right? In the Midwest, right?
Right.
Very difficult to do that even remotely close, even as an active investor in the coastal markets with the appreciation that's gone on there. But yeah, we definitely provide a great return and stable, very stable return with great management behind it. So we're very biased on this one though. But that's our opinion on this.
Yeah, and bringing property management in-house about a year ago really just, I mean, I feel like skyrocketed our level. Yeah. It wasn't like, okay, well, we've done all the work and we're going to pass you off to a property management company that we have vetted, and we hope things work out well, and you can let us know if they don't, but we can't do much about it. But now, like, having them in-house and having both of our sides, both the, you know, our side of high return real estate and Urban House right there, that's the property management side's name, being responsible to each other and having that, you know, we have to see each other every day. Or at least for me, I talk to them every day. Having that in-house really, I think, upped our game, because now we are really honestly full service. So I think that's so key for a company.
Yeah, absolutely. We're both very much have the same philosophy in terms of how we want to take care of our investors. You know, unfortunately for us and our profitability, we cover a lot of stuff for investors.
Yeah.
That we don't mark up maintenance and repairs, or if something goes wrong. You know, we had the other day, Josh and I were talking, we had a house that for whatever reason had a leak. It was undetected, and it ran, and it was a $2,000 bill. And you know, we can't give that bill to the investor. We're just going to eat it.
Oh my goodness.
That's to our own detriment. But we just have such this strong desire to see our investors win on both sides. Neither one is, you know, thinking short term, hey, I'm going to make a transactional, you know, type of gain here off this client, and then we're going to milk them for all they're worth on the back end.
Right.
It's not how either of us think. We want long-term relationships with our investors that are, look, there's problems that come up, right, Nicole? I mean, is this a problem-free business?
No. Oh my goodness. If it was a problem-free business, I'm not sure I'd have much to do.
Yeah, that's true. It definitely has a lot of challenges when you're dealing with people, especially C-class tenants, when you're dealing with properties that have things go wrong no matter what. I mean, we have an A+ class house that we live in. I know yours is very nice too.
Oh, yeah.
And I have tons of things that go wrong at this house.
Oh.
I mean, the bigger the house, the bigger the paycheck that you're writing when things go wrong.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
This is like, if you guys came to our house, you'd be like, wow, that's a dream home. It's a very nice house. But 3 times our basement is flooded just in the last 4 years.
Oh my goodness.
Twice it was because the water heater, the piping just disconnected and burst, and it flooded the basement twice. And then another time, for whatever reason, sewage came back up. So that's,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's terrible. So you would think, like, okay, this happens on an A+ house that's only 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Things happen on these houses that are,
right.
You know, even if we do our best to rehab them, there's going to be problems that are going to happen. I'm not trying to scare anybody away. Hopefully I'm not. But the point is that we take care of this stuff, and we make sure that the investor is treated right, that it's fair, and that we mitigate the situation. And we're able to mitigate the situation at much lower cost to the investor because we have internal teams that we're not paying huge contractor markup to go out and fix it. So
Right. I just remembered one other question that a lot of investors ask me.
yeah.
And that is, and I know I'm springing this on you, that is, well, if these properties are performing so well, why don't you just keep them all yourself?
Oh, wow. That is a great question.
I know.
Okay. So I do keep a lot for myself. So just so people know, you know, the question always comes down to, look, we have a finite amount of capital. Like I can't buy up all of Indy myself and hold it. So we, you know, we definitely think about this in terms of the time value of money. That's pretty much how we're approaching it. So we can fix up a property, sell it to an investor, and we can say collect 12 months of rent up front when we sell the property versus holding it for the 12 months. And if we can do that fast enough, so we're just trying to outpace our models, outpacing the time value of money. If it takes us 12 months to fix up a property and get it sold and turned and sold to an investor, then high return real estate lost. Right?
Yeah.
We would have been better off just keeping the property for the right? So that's really what a lot of it comes down to, is that, you know, we're just, instead of holding things for rents, we're able to turn that faster with our model. And then, like I said, I mean, I definitely have my own portfolio. Shecky's building his portfolio as well. You're building yours.
Right.
So we're just utilizing two sources of income with our model. Number one is active, which is the high return real estate selling to investors. That's active real estate investing. And then we're also doing passive investing, where we're buying and holding our own inventory as well. So,
well, and that's basically what I tell investors is that we don't have unlimited money to pay for all these properties. Because another thing about high return is that the properties are all owned by high return real estate. So we're not a third party seller. They're not held by somebody else.
Yep.
We actually do purchase them all. And just like anybody else, we don't have unlimited funds.
Yeah.
I mean, it stops and we can buy no more until we sell some. So that's basically it. And yeah, these are not rehabs for somebody else who's holding the properties. They are all owned by either high return real estate or one of the owners of high return real estate. So
that's right.
yeah, they are held internally while we do all of the work. So yeah, if it takes us too long, that's a losing gig for us.
Yep. No, that's good. I mean, we have private money investors, but mainly one who, you know, we have to pay significant amount of money to be able to get that, you know, essentially loan of cash from that investor, right? So it really doesn't make sense for us to, for that kind of situation, to be holding those properties for rents. Like we can't really make much money because of the interest that we're paying him. Okay?
Right.
So we need to flip those properties and keep that money churning. For my own money, you know, I can my own capital like that I have, I can hold, but I prefer to do cash out refis. So the bank, I'm leveraging and increasing my returns from 10% to 25%, 30% returns. So I love financing. I always do it on the back end myself because I'm buying in cash and then I'm refinancing out of it.
Yeah, because I want to get the lower price.
Yep.
And that's one of the main things that I see different between us and some of the competitors that allow financing is that our prices are better.
Yeah, they're usually 10K above what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, last question is, what is the baseline for what we replace? Namely, the major CapEx items: furnace, water heater, roof. Those are typically the ones that are going to need to be replaced eventually, right?
Right. And those are the ones that usually cost the most too. Carpet, because that's something that we try to get away from, but I think that's another what people consider a CapEx item. Which I know when we rehab properties, we try to go back in with vinyl plank.
Yes.
Low maintenance, easy to replace sections of it if we need to.
Lasts a lot longer for a C-class.
Very durable. Carpet is kind of a pain, as everybody probably knows.
Sure.
As my parents are ripping carpet out of their basement today because it got flooded. Since it's monsoon season in the Midwest.
Yep.
It's crazy. But yes, for the furnace, we want to see 10 years left on the furnace. Roof, we want to see at least, I believe 5. Is that correct? 5?
Yeah. So roof is the one where we don't really have a hard set of rules defined. So for example, we have a property, a duplex performing really nicely. And on the inspection report, it said there's probably 3 years of life left on the roof. Well, it just needs a layover. So it doesn't need like a tear off there's 2 types of roof replacements. There's one where you just put another layer of basically shingles over the top. And then there's another where it's already been done 2 or 3 times. So you can't keep putting layer and layer on top.
It gets heavy.
Yeah, it gets heavy. It's like, so you have to actually tear off not only all the shingles, but you have to tear off the decking underneath too. And I had that on my own property that I'm doing right now as well. So I had that situation go. That just had to happen. The roof needed to be replaced completely. And those are very expensive. I think I'm paying $8,300 for that. Whereas a layover, you can get done for, depending on the size of the house, $2,000, even $3,000, maybe $3,500 tops. And at least with our, teams, as you can typically do that. I mean, on a much larger roof, obviously, it depends on the size of the roof. But we're not usually selling big, huge houses that need a ton of maintenance. The bigger the house, the more maintenance you need.
I know.
So we typically look at that and just say, okay, for this instance, we would just offer a credit off the purchase price at closing to help cover the future cost of doing the layover. Now, the thought here for us on our side is, okay, we could put a brand new layover on this property, spend the $3,000, $3,500, and then we need to increase the price to be able to do that. So we have a margin.
Right.
Okay? So now we're thinking, okay, this roof, however, has no leaks. There's nothing wrong with it at all. It's very functional, and it could absolutely last another 10 years without having to be replaced.
Right.
That's very possible. So in those situations, we kind of look at it and say, okay, probably just going to offer a credit, maybe a couple thousand, $1,500, $2,000. I don't know. It depends on the situation. At closing and say, look, we don't think we should do this right now. It is something that you're going to have to do here eventually in the next few years, most likely. Here's a credit, boom. Put this money aside, earmark it. You're gonna need to do this, but why not get the most out of this roof that you can?
Right.
So you have to do it. So that's our thinking. We're trying to always think what's best for the end investor. What's going to keep the cost down of the property. So the same thing, a water heater, typically anything over 5 years old on a water heater, we're going to replace. A lot of the water heaters have, 7-10 years worth of life. So look, I mean, it's the same thing. If we think that there's a lot of time left on these mechanicals and they're in really good condition, we're going to take those and say, hey, Mr. Investor, look, you got a lot of life left on this. Let's say, let it ride, and maybe we'll give them a small credit or work something out for that. So yeah, we try to look at everything, and as far as through the lens of how can we get the maximum amount of usage out of this, at the same time protecting future CapEx values for our investor base.
Yeah. I mean, and you just kind of have to look at it as you would look at it your own house. We're sitting in a situation with our own house that's 21 years old that has the original water heater and the original roof. Yes, they both need to be replaced probably. Are they still functioning just fine? Yeah. So why would we spend all of this money to replace something that is still working?
Yeah.
So so the fact that we are going in and giving a possible credit on the closing cost or the closing at closing on the property is kind of a benefit for our investors. Sure. Because you wouldn't replace a functioning roof on your own house. Why would you do it on a house somewhere else?
Sure.
So yeah, so we'll work with you and give credits where necessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
and when something needs to be replaced, it needs to be replaced.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're not going to ink it along just to save a couple bucks. Absolutely not. I mean, if it needs to be replaced, we're going to replace it.
Yep, absolutely. If we can see that, man, this thing's on its last leg.
Yeah.
Let's not mess with it in a year from now. We'll just let's get it out.
Yeah.
But if it appears to us that it's got a lot of shelf life left, or potentially, yeah, for sure. Don't replace those.
No.
Okay. Nicole, the very last question is there any question that I should have asked you that we didn't?
You ask everybody that.
Right.
I listen to our podcast too.
Well, that's good. You should be number one, and you should be ready for this question.
Actually, I already threw in the question that you should have asked.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So now we pretty much covered.
Well, okay, here's a question. Last question for you. What does as in head of investor relations, what does your typical day look like?
My goodness.
Yeah.
My typical day, I don't ever know usually what's going to happen when I wake up in the morning.
Okay. You probably like that kind of like unknown guesswork. What's the day going to bring? Yeah.
I sit down, I'll look at my email, see if there's anything that popped up overnight that I need to address. Sometimes, if you call our main high return real estate line on our website, it comes to me. So my phone occasionally rings during the day when I'm least expecting it. So I'll talk to people that way. Occasionally I will have calls booked. So I'll have set times on my calendar that I'm open and available for calls with investors. And sometimes those calls last 10 minutes. Other times they last an hour. So I never know for sure until I get on the phone. So sometimes I'll have those calls scheduled. Other times during the day, I will have, I'll get an email from a current investor, and they're like, hey, can you call me on this item right here? And so I'll call and we'll talk. Or I'll have somebody that's really close to purchasing a property, and they'll say, can we just get on the phone real quick and talk? And so I'll do that. And then lots of emails, if an investor has, especially I talk to brand new investors a lot, and they'll just have general questions. And so they shoot me an email, and I can usually get an email returned. If not immediately, usually it happens within 30 minutes. If I'm on another call and can't get to it immediately, but I'd say I'm pretty fast. Yeah. Our investors do not have to wait on me.
Yeah.
So that's what I do.
That's consistently the feedback we get.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So investors that are listening to this, so in conclusion, if you want to, and as you can see, Nicole here, she's awesome, right? So if you want to learn more about having a strategy call, definitely want to book a call off our website with Nicole. There's a booking link right on highreturnrealestate.com, and do a strategy call. If you're interested in, you see something on the website or an email that comes out to you, make sure that you're on our Insiders Club email list too, because whenever we have a property that's ready, that's where it goes to first before it even hits our website. Mm-hmm. So you want to have that call with Nicole first. So that's the only way we would sell a property to you. We won't unless somebody does the call, all right?
You gotta talk to me first.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we want to work with you, just as you probably want to make sure you want to work with us. So it's a two-way street. Not every investor's temperament is what we feel suitable for what we're doing. And the other thing is too, we want to be able to match you up with the right property. I mean, if you're going to do planning on doing a cash out refinance, that's going to be a different property in all likelihood than a cash purchase. So we got to make sure that we're putting you in the right position to be successful. So we have to do that call. So make sure you guys book a call with Nicole. You guys going to get all your other questions that you have answered from her, and that's how you're going to set yourself up for maximum success. So
yeah. And if I don't know the answer, I'll make it up. Just kidding.
That's what I do. When you get a question, you come to me. I usually make it up. Yeah, that's very true. Nicole is very diligent about, if she's not sure, she's not gonna BS you. She's gonna go get the answer from our team and get back to you right away. So we welcome all questions as well. Very good. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Nicole, especially for joining us today. It was very refreshing from the Scheckmeister. I hope he doesn't listen. So, all right. Well, here we go. Have a great day. Again, Nicole, thanks so much.
Thank you.